I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Welcome back to the Cyclone Fanatic post-game show. I'm your host tonight, Leah Nelson. Chris Williams will be joining me in just a little bit to talk all things Iowa State, Utah. Iowa State beat Utah 82-59 tonight. They are on top of the Big 12 standings along with Houston and Arizona. So we'll talk all things Iowa State right after we thank a few of our sponsors, starting off with our title sponsor, Channel Seed. They are the title sponsor for both the men's and women's basketball shows this year, so we're super excited. They're huge Iowa State fans and huge Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network fans, so we're super stoked that they're on board. And our friends over at Keen Project Solutions is celebrating 10 years of innovation, serving ag, industrial, and commercial customers with pride. Be a part of a team that values your dedication and turns your expertise into impactful solutions. Visit thinkdifferentthinkkeen.com. And then our buddies over at Raymond James. Thanks to Raymond James Financial Advisors Clay and Chase Natuzel, a family of lifelong Cyclone fans assisting clients with all of their financial needs for over 32 years. They have offices in Carroll, Ames, and Ankeny. So make sure you connect with Clay and Chase Natuzel at raymondjames.com/Natuzel. All right, Chris. It's been a while since I've seen you on the other side of the screen with football being over, so it's good to see ya.
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, especially after workmanlike. I don't know what you want to call that Iowa State win, but we're in like this phase right now where, and it's going to end. This was the last streak in this because it's going to get tougher. But when an Iowa State fan you almost get bored because your team's winning these games so badly, which is a good spot to be in. I don't think anybody's actually bored, but it kind of feels that way. Like I got a lot going on here, and I was like doing some dishes and stuff during the second half. Like I don't do that. I don't ever do that during an Iowa State game, but you just knew that they had it tonight.
No, it's the perfect way to put it. I was even saying that, like, usually I'm so locked in, and then I found myself checking some other scores, doing some things, checking social media, and I'm like, what am I doing? Usually I'm so locked in, but I guess it's a good thing because we would hate to be on the flip side.
I think too, there's a couple, in my opinion, there's a couple of things going on here. One, this team's just at a totally different level than what Iowa State has seen, and like they've had good teams, right? Like two of Otzelberger's three teams have gone to Sweet 16s. Some of those Niang, Morris, right? There's been really good teams here. I just think this team's at a completely different level. Really in the modern, I consider 2000 on like the modern era of Iowa State athletics for you. What year were you born?
2000.
Yeah, okay, there you go. So, okay, maybe not so modern. But that team that was honored on Saturday and this one, I think are, we'll see how this season ends, right? Injuries could always occur, like crazy things can happen. But I think that when these two teams are at their best, they're just kind of at a different level than these other Iowa State teams. And, so you're going to beat these teams that you're supposed to because you're just so much better than them, even if you don't play that well. It was like kind of okay tonight. Like Iowa State was okay. That wasn't like, oh my God, they were amazing. But they were good. And they actually took a few shots from Utah, especially early in that basketball game. But a couple things stand out to me. Is just Iowa State's perimeter defense continues to just be the best in the country. There's no two-guard tandem better than Lipsy and Keyshawn when it comes to perimeter defense. And then two, we've just seen this so much now when you kind of feel like a drought might be coming on, Jefferson can just get to the basket so easily. He's kind of a cheat code, and He has 17 tonight. I'll go through the box just a little bit. Lipsy had 20, 14 free throw attempts for Taman, which is phenomenal. And the other thing too, that game on Saturday, what was the story afterwards? It was Momcilovic. Tonight, he's 1 of 5 with 2 points in 22 minutes. But what that tells me is not that I'm down on him. It's just at any given night, any of these guys can step up. And who do you guard, right? Like, who do you guard if you're Iowa State? Who are you going to elect to leave open right now? They're at an incredibly high level. There's another point here, too, and that when you have so many teams in the league, I do think that that Iowa State is catching some of these Big 12 teams at a good time, right? Baylor had some injuries, and this Utah team is just not that good. They're okay, like that. But when the league had 10 teams in it there a couple years ago, it was like every game there was no layup, and there are a few of those in the Big 12 right now, and that is because there are 16 teams. Not every team can be at that level. Iowa State has had a decent schedule to start when you catch Baylor with some injuries, and now it's frickin' on because the next 3 games it's real. You're at Texas Tech, you have Kansas, and then you got to go to West Virginia. The next 3 games are legit. So while relaxing game tonight, it's going to be really fun to see how Iowa State does over the next 10 days or so.
How encouraging is it that, like you said, Iowa State doesn't play their best game, still blows out Utah, and then also some of the best players, aren't having their best game, but then other people step up.
Yeah, well, and that's what usually separates like last year's Iowa State team was a good team, but they weren't great, right? And that like the one Hoiberg team that I thought could have been great, when Niang goes down, then all of a sudden it's like you're just a good team. Well, this team, God, like. Again, like, who do you stop? Like, what do you, especially if a guy like Chat is going to keep producing? Like, he was okay tonight. He only had the 1 rebound, but like, he's not like a 0 like he was when you put him in earlier in the year. Heisey's just so damn comfortable out there. And then you've got the combination of Jefferson, Lipsy, Gilbert, Momcilovic, Jones. It's the chances of all those guys being terrible on one night are really, really rare.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, like I'll point out a couple other stats here for you. Tonight, you always, with Iowa State, you watch for turnovers. 25 of your 82 points off of turnovers tonight. Go the other way. Iowa State turns it over 8 times. Utah only gets 6 points off of those turnovers. So that is always the first stat. If I didn't, I watch all the Iowa State games, but if I didn't, that is always going to be the first stat that I look forward to with this basketball team. And when you see a game like that, it is almost a guarantee. When you see a stat like that against a team like Utah that should be at the bottom of the standings, Iowa State's going to blow them out. So good stuff here, man. This is a lot of fun. And the guys on the call tonight, Jess, set up multiple times, but I don't know how you watch Iowa State right now and you're not like Big 12 championship would be awesome. I'm thinking about Final Fours. That this team is that good. It is very rare in our history that in our history at Iowa State that you have a team capable in any sport, if it's softball, if it's soccer, if it's anything, to win a national championship. This team has all the pieces to be in that conversation come March.
It feels like it's right in grasp, and I haven't been able to say that a whole lot. So
you're pretty good luck here.
Thanks. I like to think. Well,
you come on the podcast, and Iowa State wins 11 football games and is ranked number 3 in the country in basketball.
I need a little bit more of that luck on the women's basketball side.
Yeah, we need the ladies to pick it up a little bit. What do they got? Arizona State tomorrow night. We'll see what happens with that one. A couple other notes tonight. I want to look at the Big 12, but Tennessee did get thumped tonight, the number 1 team in the country. Poll won't come out until after Iowa State goes to Texas Tech on Saturday. So not going to get ahead of myself here, but you're probably moving up 1 spot if you win on Saturday, and potentially with an Auburn loss, Iowa State I rankings don't matter. In fact, I
Right.
think they're pretty stupid. I'm watching the metrics and stuff much more, but it would be cool, right? Like, how does any Iowa State fan say you wouldn't want to see the number one next to your team for a little bit during the season?
Well,
I know
and
I would.
no, it would feel so good. And I know there'd be some conversation about like pressure being at number 1, but obviously we've seen Iowa State be at number 3 for the last, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And hasn't bugged them one bit. So I think seeing number 1 next to their name would be pretty cool.
Yeah, let's look at the Big 12 scores real quick because all these games matter for Iowa State. If you are listening to this game if you're listening to this podcast on Wednesday, I apologize for dating this just a little bit, but Texas Tech is Iowa State's next opponent. We'll keep an eye on this. They are losing by 2 at BYU right now. Let's look at Kansas State losing to Oklahoma State tonight, a couple of bottom dwellers right there in the Big 12 at this point in the season. Here's one that caught my eye, Leah. Arizona goes on the road tonight, wins 75-56 at West Virginia. So that's a really tough place to play. 2, Iowa State is going to play both of those teams in the next 4 games, I think. Actually, Arizona is a little bit down the road. They're on Monday night, the 27th. That'll be a big Monday game in Arizona. I think that team has probably, in the first 3 games of the season, maybe redeemed its non-conference just a little bit. They didn't lose to bad teams. Arizona, here are their 5 losses in the non-con, okay? It was to Wisconsin. It was to Duke, Oklahoma, West Virginia, which that was a non-conference game, so they come back and then they win. So that's good progress there for the Wildcats, and then UCLA. So like they were 4-5 at one point, and I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't know how good Arizona is." Well, you get in the Big 12 and you start 3-0 that way, and then you go on the road tonight and you win at West Virginia. To me, that is a bit of an eye opener. That's a wow score. And then the other one, Baylor, who Iowa State just beat, blew out Cincinnati tonight. Bloom and I had a long conversation on our Sunday night podcast. Is Cincinnati any good? We were wondering, because it is so hard in college basketball to be able to tell in the non-conference how good these teams actually are. And I have a lot of questions about a handful of these teams, and I'm curious about Cincinnati. I think Arizona, I wouldn't put them on the same tier as Iowa State, Kansas, and Houston yet, but I think they're right there on the tier 2, and I think they proved that tonight. So, couple of notes there for me.
I just think that's such a funny question. Is Cincinnati even good?
Well, they were like ranked.
Right. I get it. It's just it's valid. It's funny.
Well, and you look at, they didn't really beat anyone, but they are beating teams, and it's like, I don't know. They might be. Like, Bloom seems to think they're better than I do. So, and
he knows his stuff. So
he does. Well, they're one of those teams. They remind me of Iowa State a few years ago, where it's like gross, like the way that they play. I would assume it's like the softball team that doesn't really try and score, you're just butting all the time, right? And protecting the lead. Oh, yeah, like
the worst.
There are teams that just junk it up, and that's kind of what Cincinnati does. They just want to fight you, and we've watched that at Iowa State for a while, and that's another aspect of this team that is just fun because they're still playing really good defense,
right?
But they're way better on offense. This is the most complete team I've ever covered by far. Those Fred teams that shot the shit out of the ball, they couldn't defend. They couldn't. They were. I don't know if they couldn't, but they certainly were not designed that way. What impresses me so much about TJ's teams, and I've said this before, I will keep saying again though, they might be. I think they're definitely a top 5 team in the country, regardless of how this ends up. Like, right? They look like a top 5 team in the country. I don't know if they're number 1. There's a lot of good teams, but this team plays with the same level of intensity defensively as that crappy one did that went to the first Sweet 16 with like Tyrese, and they're just like patching guys together. These dudes play just as hard, and that's what's so impressive to me. I'm blown away by how they are able to do that, and especially in an era where they're getting paid now. entitlement could start to creep in. It doesn't. These guys are highly motivated. And I love tonight, give them a shout out, that the guys warmed up wearing their NIL T-shirts.
That was awesome.
From their teammates that we printed at Cyclone Fanatic Shop. So that was really cool.
That was sick. I loved it. And I love the pictures you guys showed with when you were doing your pregame with Rob Gray. He seemed pretty stoked about it too.
Yeah, pretty awesome. So good night. Again, when you can just whoop somebody's butt, and even I don't care where Utah ends up, if you win a game by 23 points and you don't even feel like you played that well, I'll take it. I've been on the other end of these things, and this is great. But Saturday it's on, because that game at Texas Tech, there's a realistic possibility if they come back and win at BYU tonight, which it's about even right now.
Yep.
Iowa State could be an underdog in that game. They could be. I
love a good underdog story though.
But it is possible that they could be an underdog in that basketball game. So games like this are done for a while.
Yep. So make sure you guys tune in January 11th, 1 p.m. at Texas Tech. Sure.
Let's do it. Are you going to be on with me on Saturday?
I mean, why not? Let's go. What time's the girls' game?
I don't know. I have no idea, actually. That's Aiden's job. Aiden will keep us.
But yes.
Keep us in the loop.
And thanks to our sponsors. Yeah, Channel Seed, Keen, and Raymond James. They rock.
Awesome.
So go Cyclones.
Good one tonight. Thanks, Leah. We appreciate you. Thanks to Aiden as well. I will be back on for Saturday's game, hopefully with Leah.
Fingers crossed.
She makes us all positive, which is a good thing. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.